the last way. What have we been doing this whole unit? What about quadratics? Solving quadratics. The point in everything we have done so far is solving quadratics, right? So name me the ways we've talked about solving quadratics. Using square roots, that's right. PEMDAS and getting my way, moving backwards to get out of it. That's one way. Name another. Graphing. Whenever I graph it, what gives me the solutions? Close. The x-intercepts, where it crosses the x-axis, those are the solutions. All right, name another way we've solved. Okay, those come up whenever we take square roots. How? That's what we're talking about, solving for zeros. Give me another way. We said all right, what did we say? We said graphing, solve with square roots. What else? If I just give you a quadratic equation and I say solve it for x, factor. You factor and solved. Factored and solved. What else? Anything else? What was the hardest way we solved? Completing the square. That's right. That was a tough one. Completing the square. Are we missing anything? That's graphing. That's right. It could have been in any of the three ways. So now we learn the all-encompassing way, the way that always works when nothing else will, but it'll even work whenever everything else will, and that is the quadratic formula. You'll see why. Because it's messy. You want it to be a last resort, because once you get really good with factoring is always your top choice because it's easy, it's fast, and it's the most accurate. You'll see there's lots of places where I can mess up with quadratic formula, and that's why we kind of leave it for last. But when all else fails, we can use the quadratic formula. Before you start, your quadratic equation must equal 0. And it's easier if you put it in standard form before you start. What does standard form look like of a quadratic? That's exactly right. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Anybody confused so far? We're doing the same thing a different way. Remember, we're trying to find what x equals. I'm just going to throw this formula up here for you. Are you ready? Let's do it. X equals opposite b. These variables are coming from my equation here. Now, notice it's a negative, but I said opposite, just like whenever we were doing the vertex in standard form, and we said opposite instead, because if it starts negative, it's going to flip to positive. So opposite b, plus or minus. Does anybody know what comes next? No. Y'all just guess. The square root. Look at my big, long square root. Make sure you make it the same. B squared minus 4 times A times C. Yes, that's why you're going to do a song to help you remember it. All over 2A. Everything goes over 2A. Everything we did before is in the numerator. 2A is in the denominator. So now you see why this one's messy, right? It's a formula. It always works, but great day what a formula it is, right? It's pretty involved. The hardest part about this is simplifying and making sure you simplify correctly. Things that are going to come into play. You've got a radical here. You're going to have to simplify radicals. Could be a negative under there. You might have to make an imaginary number. All of those things are still going to come into play as we do this. Okay? All right, let's do an example. Yeah. It's going to be probably more classwork than homework because this won't take me long to go over. This is literally like I give you the formula and show you a couple examples, and it's just plug and chug. Yes. We'll probably start that tomorrow. Let's go easy. Solve using the quadratic formula. Okay, but you solved by completing the square. Now we're going to solve with the, remember, we're doing the same, all these things do the same. I'm so sorry. But you're right, we did complete the square. The good news is completing the square is way harder than quadratic formula. But now you understand complete the square, so now you know. No, it's just the number in front. Do what? All right, so is it in standard form and equal to 0? Yes. All right, so tell me before I start, what is A? 1. What is B? Good job, because don't keep the X with it, right? What is B? And what is C? -8, right? The signs follow it. So now, and let me just rewrite this formula here for you to see. Opposite B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. All I'm going to do is plug in the spots, literally. That's it now. Okay? So, opposite B, -12, plus or minus the square root, yep, there you go, everything over, perfect. As you simplify this, always start under the radical and then we'll move out from there, okay? So under that radical, let's work under that first, because a radical is a grouping symbol, and grouping comes first. -12 plus or minus the square root of, what is 12 squared? 144 minus, now 4 times 1 times -8. 4 times 1 times -8. Y'all can do this. 32, that's right. -32. So it is, you're exactly right. I wrote it all out, but this is going to be minus a negative, which is, see how I'm just staying right under that radical until I get it simplified? Yeah. Yes. At the very end, that's the last thing we're going to do is split it into 2 answers. 144 plus 32 is, y'all can be confident. All right, now here's where everything I've learned so far is going to start coming into play. Can I simplify this? In other words, is there a perfect square I can divide 176 by? What's the biggest one? 16 and 11, so said. Good job. So now this is 4 times the square root of 11. Everybody okay? Now at this point, if I simplify, kind of making you notes as we go here, you have to divide everything by a common factor. Everything except what's under the fraction. Under the radical. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, to simplify this, you would have to find something that goes into 12, 4, and 2. 2, right? Are we all in agreement that that's 2? Yes, right. What's negative 12 divided by 2? Negative 6 plus or minus 2, bless you, over 1. And I don't really have to put it over 1, right? Because it's just a whole number. Now my plus or minus comes into play. This means I have 2 answers. This means x could be negative 6 plus 2 times the square root of 11, or x could be negative 6 minus 2 times the square root of 11. What do you think about quadratic formula? You like it? You think it's harder than complete the square? What's your favorite way to solve so far? Name the easiest way you think. Agreed. Square roots? Complete the square? Really? Wow, y'all. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate your honesty. So you can, since it doesn't simplify. The issue is if you get into something and you had like negative 2 plus or minus 3 over, I don't know, 10. You'd really want to split that into negative 2 plus 3 over 10 and negative 2 minus 3 over 10, since they're whole numbers and there's no radical there. So that would be 1/10 and negative 5/10, which is negative a half. It would stay with it just like this one did. So if you get it and it's not simplifiable, like you still got that value on the bottom, so you're here, then you would just leave it and you would say, okay, negative 2 plus 3 over 10, and then negative 2 minus 3 over 10. Then you could simplify, right, individually. Yep. Yes. I will have a few. I'm going to go ahead and pass these around. I should have done it to start with so you'd have something to. Since I did not give you the sheet and this was number 1, you can X out number 1. Let's do another one. I don't want to. Yeah, you can cross out number 1. Let's do one of the ones that you did completely and show you how it goes back. These all came out to nice. Okay. Then we'll do a little bit harder one that's got a leading coefficient. Now, when you solve this completing the square, and you don't have to write this, but just to show you real quick. The good C to go here would be what? 36, both sides. X plus 6 squared equals, what's 85 and 36? 121. Square root, I'd get x plus 6 equals plus or minus 11. So x plus 6 equals 11. X plus 6, and I know I'm going through this fast, but just to show you, so x equals 5 or x equals negative 17. When we do quadratic formula, we should get the exact same thing. Well, let's do it. What do I need to do first before I can use quadratic formula? It needs to equal 0. Standard form equal to 0. So I get x squared plus 12x minus 85 equals 0. What's A? B? C? X equals. Remember, it's opposite B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. No, this is a separate problem. I'll do one more from the homework in just a minute. I just didn't want to do too many of them and you didn't have any to practice. You just plug it in and it gives you the answer. That's exactly right. So opposite B would be negative 12 plus or minus square root of minus 2 times 1. Let's work under the radical first. Not on there. I'm going to do one on there in just a minute. This was one on that you did last night. 144 minus 85 times 4. 70, 340. What is it? You gotta watch your signs. That's what's gonna kill you on this. So now I have 340 plus 144, which is 484. Is that a perfect square? I feel like it is. 22. It's easy when they come out like this because I'm going to have some nice answers here. I don't have to worry about simplifying because I'm just going to go ahead and split up negative 12 plus 22. Whoa. Over 2 and negative 12 minus 22. 5. So what y'all got? Sure. Is that what we got when we completed the square? Yes, it is. Look, 5 and negative 17. Same thing. Because quadratic formula always works. The signs, what's under the radical, not doing stuff in the right order. You'll have some you have to do a certain way. There'll be a section that says use the method that's best, and then there'll be some that say
Like best for you.
yeah, best for you. 3. I want to get one that works out kind of funky for you. plus 3x plus 7. Let's see, b squared minus 4. Yes. Let's do number 12. And then I'll set you loose. Easy day for y'all. That'll give you 10 problems to do. Number 12. We're going to do 12 together. 3x squared plus x equals negative 2x minus 7. What shall I do first? Move everything to one side. That's exactly right. So, well, this is not completing the square, so I don't have to do that. But if I was completing the square, yes, Hank, you are absolutely right. That is what I would do. You really do know this complete the square well. It's impressive, though. I'm proud of you. Plus 3x plus 7. Did you go home and work on it last night? What is A? 3. What's B? What's C? Y'all are so quiet when you answer. All right, opposite B. Plus or minus, do y'all want me to write the formula first? Minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So opposite B plus or minus the square root of minus, that's right. Everybody goes over 2 times. It's not just you. It is. Concentrate. Nine minus 84 is what? Negative something, and I'm glad you saw that because that's going to come into play. What happens when I have a, there you go, 75. What happens when I have a negative under a radical? You can't, I take out an I. That's exactly right. There's an I there. Not, what, yeah. The I's never go away. I know, I'm sorry. All right. Not only are the I's back, that's exactly right. I can break it down. I can take that 25 out. All right, so let's come over to the side. I know that I can take an I out, right? But what else can I do to 75? Divide it by 25. So the square root of negative 75 is the same thing as 5I root 3. Well, the plus or minus is in the problem. That's what I'm plugging back in, right? So I'm doing negative 3 plus or minus 5I root 3 over 6. Okay? Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all the numbers here to see if I can divide everything by anything. Nope, I can't. Since there's a radical in my answer here, and since splitting it up really won't do me any good, I'm okay if you stop here and you don't split it into the two. Just understand where the two solutions are coming from. Negative 3 plus 5I root 3 over 6, and negative 3 minus 5I root 3 over 6. If I were graphing this, what do imaginary solutions look like? You're exactly right. They're not touching anything, right? Good job. So it would be over and going up like that, right? They never intersect that x-axis.
So any of those three things could be different.
I'm okay with you stopping here, or if you want to break it into the two. But if it looks like this, and there's no radical here, you need to break it into the two. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to leave it this way because you can get a whole number answer there. So if that confuses you, always break it out, so you never get confused as to when. Tell me what you think.
It's alright.
You like it? It's alright? No. Thumbs up. Better or worse than complete the square now? The same. The more you do it, though, I think it'll be a little easier for you. It's literally plug and chug. All right, so